12 years ago, my older sister, Vanessa, stood on my porch with 3 crying toddlers, a single duffel bag, and a desperate look on her face. She told me she had an emergency job interview that could change her life. She promised she would be back before dinner. That dinner never happened. 1 hour turned into 12 years. For over a decade, I raised her 3 children as my own. I wiped their tears, paid for their braces, comforted them through heartbreak, and worked late nights to ensure they never felt abandoned. Vanessa completely vanished into a life of luxury, travel, and absolute freedom, chasing what she proudly called her ultimate. But yesterday, a man in a dark suit walked up my driveway and handed me a thick legal manila envelope. My sister wasn't coming back to say thank you. She was suing me. She was demanding full custody of the teenagers who barely remember her face. And she was suing me for millions of dollars in emotional damages, claiming I had kidnapped and alienated her children from her. As I stood there looking at the legal papers, trembling with a mixture of rage and terror, my phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. "Give me the kids and the money, or I will ruin your life." Welcome back to Real Drama Story, where family secrets unfold and quiet decisions change everything. If you are new here, grab a seat, because today's story is a gripping journey of betrayal, survival, and the ultimate power of a mother's instinct. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss a single twist in this unfolding drama. To truly understand how a mother could abandon her own children for 12 long years, and then return demanding custody and millions of dollars, you first have to understand Vanessa. Growing up, Vanessa had always been the center of attention, and incredibly skilled at convincing people she deserved more than everyone else. She walked into every room expecting admiration, and somehow people willingly gave it to her. Neighbors complimented her. Even strangers seemed drawn to her effortless charm. But behind that charming smile lived someone who believed rules applied only to other people. Whenever life became difficult, she simply found someone else to carry the burden. Responsibility was never something she accepted willingly. She always found a way to escape it. By her early 20s, Vanessa had married a wealthy businessman. She often bragged that she'd never have to worry about money again. Within only a few years, she had 3 children. Leo was born first. Then came the twins, Mia and Maya. Everyone assumed motherhood would change her. If anything, it made her more restless. She hated routines. She hated bedtime stories. She hated cleaning bottles and changing diapers. Most of all, she hated that motherhood demanded patience instead of attention. When her marriage eventually collapsed in a bitter divorce, reality hit harder than she'd ever imagined. Her ex-husband paid child support, but it wasn't enough to maintain the luxurious lifestyle she believed she deserved. Suddenly, she had 3 children under the age of 4, a modest monthly income, and dreams far larger than her bank account. Instead of adjusting her lifestyle, she blamed her children for stealing it. Almost every week she would come to my house carrying coffee in one hand and frustration in the other. She'd collapse onto my kitchen chair and complain for hours. "You have no idea how lucky you are, Nora. You can actually live." She'd wave toward the television where glamorous travel commercials played. "My friends are flying to Miami. They're shopping in Paris. They're living exactly how women are supposed to live." She'd take another sip of coffee before continuing. "They're living the no crying babies, no responsibility. They wake up whenever they want. They travel whenever they want. They spend money without asking anyone." Then she'd glance toward her toddlers playing on my living room floor. "They're free. I'm trapped." Every time she said those words, something inside me broke, because her children weren't traps. They were innocent little human beings. Leo loved dinosaurs. He carried the same plastic T-Rex everywhere he went. Mia refused to sleep without her stuffed rabbit. Maya laughed every time someone sneezed. They weren't burdens. They were beautiful children desperate for love. I was completely different from Vanessa. At 26, I lived a simple life. I wasn't married. I didn't have children. I worked quietly as an independent graphic designer, taking freelance projects from a small office inside my modest 3-bedroom home. It wasn't glamorous, but it was peaceful. I loved calm mornings with coffee on the porch. I loved finishing projects for clients who appreciated my work. I loved having a predictable routine. Most importantly, I loved family. Not the perfect family shown in greeting cards. The real kind. The kind built through loyalty, honesty, and showing up when people needed you most. I never imagined that belief would completely reshape my life. Then came that rainy Tuesday morning in the spring of 2014. I'll never forget it. The sky was gray. Rain tapped gently against my windows. I had just opened my laptop to begin working on a major branding project when someone pounded on my front door. Not knocked. I looked at the clock, confused. I opened the door. Vanessa stood there soaked from the rain. Her makeup was flawless. Her expensive trench coat looked brand new. Behind her stood 3 frightened little children clutching each other's hands. The twins were still wearing pajamas beneath oversized jackets. Before I could say a single word, Vanessa rushed inside. "Nora, you have to help me." She practically shoved the children through my doorway. "I got an emergency interview. It's huge. A luxury lifestyle company. This is my chance to finally change everything." She placed a single worn duffel bag onto my hallway floor. It contained a few mismatched outfits and 2 stuffed animals. "Just 1 hour. I'll be back before lunch." She kissed the twins on their heads without really looking at them. Then she hugged Leo quickly. "Be good. I'll see you soon." Before I could even ask where the interview was, ran down my driveway, climbed into a waiting taxi, and disappeared. I stood there holding Maya in my arms while Leo watched through the front window. "Mommy will come back after lunch," he whispered hopefully. I smiled gently. "I'm sure she will." I believed those words when I said them. I had absolutely no idea that would be the last time those 3 little children would ever see their mother for the next 12 years. Noon came. I made sandwiches for the children, telling them their mother would probably be home any minute. Leo kept running to the front window every time a car drove past the house. "Is that Mommy?" "No, sweetheart. Maybe the next one." By 3 p.m., the twins had fallen asleep on my couch. By 5 p.m., dinner was ready. 3 tiny plates sat on the kitchen table. 1 adult plate waited for Vanessa. It stayed untouched. By midnight, I knew something was terribly wrong. Her phone went straight to voicemail. I barely slept that night. The next morning, I drove to the address where she claimed the interview was supposed to take place. The receptionist looked confused. "We've never scheduled anyone named Vanessa." A knot formed in my stomach. I contacted her friends. No one had seen her. I called our parents. They assumed she'd simply gone away for a few days to clear her head. I wasn't convinced. By the 3rd day, panic completely consumed me. I walked into the local police station carrying a recent photograph of my sister. "I think she's missing." The officers listened carefully while I explained everything. They opened a report and promised to investigate. For the next 48 hours, I barely functioned. I kept imagining terrible possibilities. A car accident, some horrible tragedy. Despite everything, she was still my sister. I didn't want anything bad to happen to her. The postcard arrived. It was addressed to me in Vanessa's unmistakable handwriting. The stamp read, "Bali, Indonesia." My hand shook as I turned it over. On the back, she had written only one short message. "Nora, I'm finally living my agenda. The kids are better off with your boring, stable life anyway. Don't look for me." No apology. No explanation. No concern for 3 frightened children asking where their mother had gone. Just freedom. I read those words over and over again. Then I slowly sat down on my kitchen floor. For the first time in years, I cried, not because my sister had left, but because I suddenly understood something devastating. She hadn't disappeared. She had chosen to abandon them. A few minutes later, Leo quietly walked into the kitchen. He looked at me with hopeful eyes. "Did Mommy write to us?" I couldn't answer. He noticed the tears running down my face. Without saying another word, he wrapped his tiny arms around my neck. Who had just lost everything, was trying to comfort me. It broke my heart. The weeks that followed became the hardest period of my entire life. Everything changed overnight. I wasn't just Nora anymore. I suddenly became responsible for 3 small children who depended on me for absolutely everything. Every morning started before sunrise. Getting Leo dressed, preparing bottles for the twins, laundry, doctor appointments, work deadlines, school paperwork. Then it all started again the next day. Money became my biggest worry. One freelance project was no longer enough. I accepted every design contract I could find. Corporate logos, restaurant menus, wedding invitations, advertising campaigns. Many nights I worked until 2 o'clock in the morning after the children had finally fallen asleep. Sometimes I nodded off at my computer with my hands still resting on the keyboard. Every dollar mattered. I stopped buying new clothes for myself. Vacations disappeared. Weekend shopping became impossible. Every extra penny went toward groceries or something the children needed. My home changed too. My quiet office became a bedroom for Leo. The guest room became the twins' nursery. My dining room slowly filled with crayons and constant laughter. Life became louder, messier, far more exhausting. But somehow, it also became warmer. There were difficult nights. Nights when all 3 children were sick at the same time. Nights when I wondered whether I could possibly keep going. Sometimes I'd quietly cry in the bathroom for 5 minutes, wash my face, and walk back out because 3 little people needed me. Eventually, I realized something important. Children don't need perfection. They need consistency. Someone who stays. Someone who keeps showing up. Because Vanessa had disappeared, I needed legal authority to care for them properly. I applied for temporary kinship guardianship. The court required endless paperwork, interviews. Everything took months. But eventually the guardianship was approved. For the first time, I could legally enroll them in school, take them to doctors, sign emergency medical forms, open savings accounts for their future. Even after receiving guardianship, I never stopped trying to contact Vanessa. I emailed every address I could find, sent certified letters, contacted former employers, reached out to mutual friends. She had erased herself completely. It was as though she'd decided her old life no longer existed. Years passed. Occasionally, someone would mention seeing her online. Vanessa lives in Dubai now. I heard she's working with luxury travel companies. Someone saw her vacationing in Greece. She's dating another millionaire. Every update sounded exactly the same. Luxury, expensive hotels, designer clothes, perfect photographs. Not once did anyone mention her children. Meanwhile, our little family quietly grew stronger. Leo slowly transformed into an incredible young man. He became protective of his sisters, responsible beyond his years. Track and field became his passion. Every medal he won was proudly displayed in our living room. Mia discovered painting. She could spend hours creating breathtaking artwork. Teachers constantly praised her creativity. Maya fell in love with sketching and digital illustration. The twins encouraged each other every single day. Watching them grow became the greatest privilege of my life. Somewhere along the way, something beautiful happened. Without anyone announcing it, without any formal conversation, they simply started calling me. The first time Leo said it happened by accident. "Mom." He called from the kitchen. Then he suddenly froze. I'm sorry. You don't have to apologize. I smiled. You can call me whatever feels right. He smiled back. From that day forward, I wasn't just their aunt anymore. I became their mother in every way that truly mattered. We built traditions together. Birthday camping trips, Christmas decorating contests, Sunday dinners where everyone helped cook. Our home wasn't perfect. Sometimes money was tight. Sometimes work was overwhelming. Sometimes life felt incredibly difficult. But it was always filled with love. That made all the difference. Life settled into a rhythm I never expected to love. The children grew older. Our little house became filled with school projects, science fairs, birthday celebrations, and countless ordinary moments that quietly became extraordinary memories. Leo grew into a confident, protective 16-year-old with an incredible talent for track and field. Every race he finished reminded me of the determined little boy who had once stood at my front window waiting for a mother who never returned. Mia and Maya, now 14, inherited remarkable artistic talent. Every wall in our home slowly filled with their paintings, sketches, and colorful imagination. They laughed together, argued over paintbrushes, and constantly reminded me that happiness doesn't come from luxury, it comes from feeling safe. Most importantly, they never questioned whether they were loved. Our Friday movie nights remained sacred. Saturday mornings always meant homemade pancakes. Sunday dinners were spent around the same dining table where everyone shared stories about school, friends. We weren't wealthy. We weren't glamorous. But we were a real family. Eventually, the painful memories of Vanessa faded into the background. The children knew she existed. They knew she was their biological mother. But to them, she had become little more than a distant story. Someone they barely remembered. Someone who had willingly walked away. Then, 3 months ago, my maternal grandfather passed away. He had always been a quiet man. He rarely spoke about emotions. But throughout those 12 years, he watched everything from a distance. He saw every school event I attended. He never praised me publicly. Yet somehow, he noticed everything. A week after his funeral, the family gathered for the reading of his will. I expected nothing. Instead, the attorney looked directly at me. He said calmly, "Your grandfather made significant changes to his estate." He continued reading. Every major asset, the real estate portfolio, investment accounts, and a trust fund valued at more than $4.5 million, had been left entirely to me and the 3 children under my guardianship. My parents looked stunned. Several relatives exchanged shocked glances. Then the attorney added one final condition. The trust will remain under Nora's exclusive control until each child reaches the age of 25. I could barely process what I was hearing. My grandfather hadn't simply left us money. He had protected the children's future, financial security. I quietly whispered, "Thank you, Grandpa." Unfortunately, good news travels fast, especially when money is involved. Within days, local newspapers reported the story. The headlines described the generous inheritance, the unusual guardianship arrangement. Someone else was reading those headlines too. Like a shark catching the scent of blood, Vanessa suddenly remembered she had children. It happened on a quiet Sunday afternoon. Someone knocked on the front door, and there she stood, yet somehow looking exactly the same. Designer handbag, expensive sunglasses. Not a single sign that life had ever been difficult for her. "Nora." She opened her arms as though we had spoken yesterday. Oh, I've missed everyone so much." Before I could respond, she tried walking into my house, blocking the doorway. "What are you doing here?" "I came to see my babies." Before I could answer, Leo walked into the hallway. At 16, he towered over both of us. Vanessa looked at him with fake excitement. "Oh my goodness, my handsome little boy." "Who are you?" Vanessa's smile disappeared. She forced a nervous laugh. "Very funny. Leo didn't move. My mother is standing in front of you. He gently placed one hand on my shoulder. Vanessa's face hardened instantly. Her warm performance disappeared. What have you done? What have you told them? Have you brainwashed my children? I told them the truth. You abandoned them. Her voice dropped into an angry whisper. I had a breakdown. You disappeared for 12 years. I needed time. They needed a mother. She glanced toward the living room where the twins stood quietly watching. Instead of approaching them, I know about grandfather's will. There it was. The real reason she'd returned. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't play games. That money belongs to my bloodline. I'm their mother. You're nothing but an unpaid babysitter. I'm taking back what's mine. Then she turned around, got into her luxury SUV, and drove away. 48 hours later, someone knocked on my door again. This time it was a process server. He handed me a thick legal envelope. My hands immediately started shaking. Vanessa had filed lawsuits in both family and civil court. She wasn't simply requesting visitation. She wanted everything. Full custody. Immediate termination of my guardianship. Millions of dollars for emotional damages. She claimed I had kidnapped her children, alienated them from their biological mother. She even demanded access to my grandfather's trust fund. The children were devastated. Leo blamed himself. The twins cried themselves to sleep. I kept reassuring them, no matter what happens, I will never stop fighting for you. The day of the hearing finally arrived. Walking into that courtroom felt like walking into a battlefield. Vanessa looked completely different. Gone were the designer outfits. She wore a simple black dress. Minimal makeup. She held tissues in her hands. She looked like the picture of heartbreak. It was all an act. Her expensive attorney stood confidently before the judge. Your Honor, my client suffered a severe emotional and mental health crisis 12 years ago. Instead of helping her recover, Nora deliberately stole her children. She severed communication, manipulated these innocent children, and deprived a grieving mother of her family. Listening to those lies felt unbearable. Her expression revealed nothing. For a brief moment, I wondered if we were actually going to lose. Then our attorney stood. He smiled politely. Your Honor, we have evidence. Not emotional arguments. Not opinions. A large projector screen lit up. The first image appeared. A social media post from 2016. Vanessa standing on a luxury yacht in Monaco. The caption read, "Left the baggage behind in America. No kids. No drama, just living the elite single lady agenda forever. Best decision I ever made." The courtroom became silent. Another post appeared. During an interview with a luxury lifestyle magazine, Vanessa proudly declared, I chose not to let family responsibilities limit my career. I have no dependents and complete freedom. Her attorney shifted nervously. Then came the final piece of evidence. An audio recording. 2 weeks before filing the lawsuit, Vanessa had bragged to a former college friend about her real plan. That friend had secretly recorded the conversation. The recording echoed throughout the courtroom. Vanessa's unmistakable voice laughed confidently. The kids don't even care about me. But Grandpa left them millions. Once I get custody, I'll control the trust. Nora can keep the boring suburban life. I'm taking the money back to Dubai. Absolute silence. Every person inside that courtroom understood exactly what this case had always been about. Not motherhood. Not love. Money. Vanessa looked toward her attorney. He slowly closed his briefcase. He already knew. The case was over. The judge didn't even leave the courtroom to deliberate. She looked directly at Vanessa. Her voice was calm but unmistakably firm. Over the past 12 years, you voluntarily abandoned your children. You made no meaningful attempt to contact them. The evidence presented today overwhelmingly demonstrates that your motivation is financial, not parental. She dismissed every single claim. Immediately terminated Vanessa's parental rights. ordered her to pay every dollar of my legal expenses, and referred the recorded phone call to the district attorney for investigation into attempted fraud and extortion, threw papers across the courtroom, accused everyone of conspiracy. Court officers immediately restrained her. She was escorted out in handcuffs for contempt of court while shouting that everyone had stolen her future. No one followed her. No one defended her. She had destroyed her own life long before she entered that courtroom. When we finally stepped outside into the warm afternoon sunshine, Leo wrapped his arms around me. Moments later, Mia and Maya joined him. The four of us stood there hugging one another while tears streamed down our faces. That single sentence meant more to me than any inheritance ever could. One selfish decision left 3 frightened children standing on my front porch. I thought my life had been taken away. But I was wrong. I hadn't lost my future. I had found it. Vanessa got the freedom she always wanted. A life without responsibility. And in the end, she lost everything that truly mattered. I chose responsibility. And I gained something money could never buy. A family. A real one. If there's one lesson I've learned, it's this. Family isn't defined by biology. It's defined by the people who stay. The people who show up every single day. The people who choose love, even when it's difficult. Those are the people who deserve the title of family. Thank you for watching Real Drama Story. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes that family is built on love, loyalty, and sacrifice, not blood alone. Until next time, take care of yourselves. And remember, sometimes the people who raise you are far more important than the people who gave you life.